Hello, everyone. Welcome to Strawberry Fields Festival 2025. I feel so happy. Yeah, for all of us here, it's an honor that you have come all the way here to spend this precious time with us. And we've been preparing everything with so much love. So I really pray that you feel that in your hearts and that you receive it. And yeah, this is for you. So I hope you enjoy this experience fully. And we'll be having a wonderful weekend together. We have different sessions organized, different activities for all of us, movie sessions, lots of music, and just many opportunities to interact and, get to know your mighty companions. And for the first session, I just wanted to tell you a little reminder just to silence your phones, if you haven't already. And we have, for our first session with us, David Hoffmeister, Kirsten Buxton, and Jason Warwick. They'll be holding the main session for us. And we also have music from our band Rise. And to start with, we'll have some songs with them, and we'll have our theme song. Enjoy, and I'll come back to give some announcements at some point. Thank you.
Love's beyond romantic. This love cannot be contained. It's bigger than the two of us. Dissolves walls and breaks the chains. Disappears from view when we surrender and let go the me and you. It's all we wanted. It's who Christ control. Under Christ control. The only way to handle it
Okay. Yeah, thank you all for being here. We're going to do 2 more songs before we turn it over to David and Jason and Kirsten. And this next one is a cover song that it's a big hit, like it's like a #1 hit in pop culture. And Jason actually found it on YouTube and sent it to me. He said, I think this could be a great song for us to play if we rewrite the lyrics a little bit to highlight what it's really about, like the relationship with God. The song is called Lose Control by a guy named Teddy Swims. And when I first heard it, I was like, whoa, that is really outside of my range of the kind of songs I normally would sing. I mean, it's a real like bluesy and like he's singing like to the top of his lungs. But it was amazing. I could feel an expansion in it. And when Jason suggested we rewrite the lyrics, it was really beautiful because I could see that I was actually going through a period of feeling like I was losing control. And the song's about that, about how as we go deeper on the journey, we feel like our ego is not in control of things anymore. And it just was a lot of fun to rewrite it. It reminded me, I just want to read one line from A Course in Miracles because this kind of highlights what the song is about. In the chorus, Jesus says that there is a transition from our normal frame of mind toward awakening, where there is a period of confusion in which a sense of actual disorientation may occur. But fear it not, for it means only that you've been willing to let go of your hold on the distorted frame of reference that seemed to hold your world together. This frame of reference is built around the special relationship. Without this illusion, there could be no meaning that you would seek here. And ironically, I was kind of going through an undoing of my special relationship with music as we were writing this song. So it took a lot of healing for me, but when I finally just said, okay, I just want to feel the love and feel the connection, then I let go of control of things being the way I wanted, and then I could feel so much love, like there really was nothing to fear, like Jesus says. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy this song.
Something's moving deep inside of me lately. I don't know myself anymore. Feels like the ground is dropping away, and I'm not in control anymore. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Out of my mind, how many times did I run from your love that was calling me home? Yeah, you're tearing my walls down clean, unraveling everything, but I know it's what I came here for. And you know I lose control when your love comes to me. I'm falling apart while your love is undoing me. I lose control when your love comes to me. You're shaking my heart, but you're setting me free. Oh, it's problematic. The problem is I want to hold on to myself like a bad habit. But habits fade when truth pulls me near. Yeah, I know I was clinging to the form, but now I'm reborn in your holy storm that made me clear. It's problematic. Problem is I want to fight you like an addict. But now I need some relief. No mask of belief. Can't see the forest through the trees, but there's grace underneath healing me. Oh, I lose control when your love comes to me. Falling apart while your love is undoing me. I lose control when your love comes to me. You're shaking my heart, but you're setting me free. When your love comes to me, I'm falling apart while your love is undoing me. I lose control when your love comes to me. I'm falling apart, but you're setting me free. Thank you all so much. We got one more song before we go for today. I feel like I need a gallon of water after singing that one.
Well, this next song is called Protector. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful song about how the Spirit is always with us, always guiding us, always protecting us. And whenever we just tap into that presence, there's nothing that we need to fear. Everything is taken care of in that. And yeah, some of the lines in this song I just really love, like, you hide me in the shadow of your wings. Your presence is my peace, my covering, my song in the night. I come out of agreement with the lie that you have left me on my own. I am not alone. I come out of agreement with the worry and the fear I've come to know, 'cause they won't have a hold on me. Protector, you never, never, never let me go. You said you wouldn't leave me, and you won't. You're right by my side, protector. I come into agreement with the truth that you are who you say you are. I can trust your heart. I come into agreement with what heaven has proclaimed over my life, 'cause I know that you'll fight for me.
Protector,
You never, never, never let me go. You said you wouldn't leave me, and you won't. You're right by my side, protector. You hide me in the shadow of your wings. Your presence is my peace, my covering, my song in the night, protector. Ooh, protector.
no weapon, no worry will conquer against me. No darkness, no evil will tease or torment me. No weapon, no worry will prosper against me. No darkness, no evil will tease or torment me. All power, dominion to one name is given. My fortress, my freedom, my refuge, my Jesus. All power, dominion to one name is given. protector. You never, never, never let me go. You said you wouldn't leave me, and you won't. You're right by my side, protector. You hide me in the shadow of your wings. Your presence is my peace, my covering, a song in the night, protector. No weapon, no worry will prosper against me. No darkness, no evil will tease or torment me. No weapon, no worry will prosper against me. No darkness, no evil will tease or torment me. All power, dominion to one name is given. My fortress, my freedom, my refuge, my Jesus. All power, dominion to one name is given. My fortress, my freedom, my refuge, my Jesus. Protector. You never, never, never let me go. You said you wouldn't leave me, and you won't. You're right by my side, protector. You hide me in the shadow of your wings. Your presence is my peace, my covering, a song in the night, protector. Ooh, protector. Protector.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, and welcome to everyone. Yeah, welcome to our beautiful spot in the canyon here, where we just rest in God. And we were talking at the beginning today about the lesson, my mind holds only what I think with God, I rest in God, I am as God created me. Yeah. Yeah, you might want to share what you were feeling, because that points to our innocence, our divine innocence, not a partial attribute in the world where there's opposites, innocence and guilt. This is like a divinity, an I amness that's prior to the world. Yeah.
Yes. I am as God created me. And this thought has power. This thought has unlimited power. Unlimited. It literally is the thought that if we believe it, like really fully believe it, it sets our mind free and it sets the whole world free. Because if I am as God created me, I have never sinned. I could never make a mistake. I could never be separate from God. If I am as God created me, I'm pure spirit, I'm pure love. That means I've never entered time. That means I'm not a body. That means every mistake that I could think of, every wrongdoing, every error I think of that I could have ever made, every thought I could have done something differently, and every thought I would hold about a brother that they could make a mistake, or could have done something differently. Every fear that I could make a mistake again in the future, that I need to protect myself from making mistakes in the future, all of that is impossible. All of that doesn't make sense if I am as God created me. This one thought is the truth that sets our mind free. This is the thought that opens our mind to perfect innocence, to our true identity. It's a thought that if we accept it, it brings us inward. If I am as God created me, and God is within, the kingdom of heaven is within, who I am, one with God, is within. It's a direction away from perceiving myself in the world with a problem I need to solve, my mind being engaged out there in perception, stuck, confused amongst the images and the thoughts. This one thought says to me, you don't need to try to understand any of that. You don't need to solve any of that. The problem is not out there. The problem is not out there. We don't even need to try to define a problem. We have the answer. We have the answer. It is this one thought. I am as God created me. So this is our mission. This is our journey. This is our purpose. That is what this moment is for. That's what this festival is for. This is what our life is for accepting this thought with everything we've got, with faith. In the face of the ego saying, but, what about, we've got to see that for what it is, the but. The but is the no to God. And the acceptance of I am as God created me. I'd rather He tells me who I am than my thoughts or this world or someone else. That's all a projection from this belief, this thought, I am not as God created me. That's why it can be so simple. There's no hierarchy of illusions. Either I am as God created me or I'm believing something else. And if I believe something else, there's guilt. Because I believe I'm a self in time. And time and guilt are together. They're the same. So this one thought frees our mind from time. It brings us so fully into this instant, the only instant that I can know holiness, I can know God. I can be in direct contact with who I am. So hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus, for telling us this. Yeah. Thank you, God, for this eternal love, this ever-present eternal love. And for this purpose that we now know of. This is our purpose, is to forgive everything else. Forgive every other thought, every other perception. Let it come up for healing and see it for what it is. It's just the healing. It's the healing of this belief that I could be something other than as God created me. And so it's welcome to be healed. Because we have the truth that sets us free, so we don't need to be afraid of facing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's giving yourself permission to just embrace that one idea. I am as God created me. And this Strawberry Fields Festival, we've had the theme song playing off of the Beatles song, Strawberry Fields Forever, where they sing, nothing is real, nothing to get hung about. And that I need do nothing idea that's tucked there in the text, where Jesus is saying, here's the answer, this is the straight shot, just give your full allegiance to it. It seems actually funny in the human condition, because everyone's got to-do lists, and what do I do today, and what do I need to do, what do I have to attend to, and this is the antidote, this is the little gateway into the I am as God created me, is starting to see I need do nothing. The key is that word need, because the belief in lack, the belief in scarcity generates a hallucination of a world of needs. But they're all based on beliefs, and they're all based on one belief, which is the ego. And so to transcend the ego, it's not like we have to get good at meeting the needs that we believe we have as a body or as a person, but it's more, Jesus is saying, no, that is mastery through fear. Meeting needs on the world's terms, which we call survival, is what he calls mastery through fear. And he says it will not work. Only mastery through love will work, not mastery through fear. Even though to the human being, that's what planet Earth seems to be, meeting needs. And then retiring. And hopefully having bliss in retirement. Although many people feel more stressed out when they don't have something to do. So it's just so beautiful to think that we're undoing, just like 7-Up was the un-cola, un meaning not doing, undoing is not doing. It's not a process, it's actually a direct message from the Christ that you are a being. You were created to be. Even as Shakespeare said, to be or not to be, that is the question. It's very profound. You were created to be, and in the end, atonement is the awareness that the separation never happened, but it's a total lack of interest in the future and a complete relinquishment of the past. It's really, as Kirsten was saying, it's letting go of time. That time and eternity cannot coexist. One is real and one is not. And so we're ending the dissociation, we're ending the attempt to keep time and eternity in our mind. And we're saying, okay, I'm going to let go of time and open to eternal life. And the permission to go open to that I am as God created me, to the answer, is everything. We have to give our mind full permission to go for its appointed destiny. Not a destiny in time, trying to find our way or find the right way or find the perfect way in time, but really to lose track of time completely and accept our eternal nature. So we're here to have fun with that task, to enjoy that, to cheer on that huge opening towards the divine in us. Not to try to make a better form, not to try to solve problems in form, like lesson number 80, let me recognize my problems have been solved, but they're solved in, as Kirsten was saying, in I am as God created me. That is the state of being that precedes a problem, that is so bright that there are no problems that can exist in it. And also to follow the divine logic or the divine reasoning. Like Jesus has his workbook of exercises for the practical application, and he comes right out in lesson number 7 and says, this lesson, number 7, I see only the past, is the reason that the preceding 6 are true. So you can see he's using divine reasoning, divine logic. He goes through them individually. This lesson is the reason why nothing I see means anything. This is the lesson why I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. He proceeds to tell us very methodically, very reasonably, very practically that lesson 7 is the reason for the first 6 lessons, and then he says in lesson 8, and this is the reason for lesson 7 and all the preceding ones. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Great beings like Krishnamurti just referred, they didn't even use the word ego, just use the word thought. But he was talking about thoughts, like in time thoughts, personal thoughts, body thoughts. Those are that's the stream of thoughts that is the veil that's covering over the light. It's covering over our I amness. So in the end, it's just, that's what we're really devoting ourselves to, not to persons, places, things. We're not devoted to anything of this world. It's devoting our mind to open up to the divinity. And the joy, I mean, even Jason, when you were talking about the collaborations with different songs, nowadays there's all kinds of ways to collaborate with AI, with all kinds of different ways. But the joy of the collaboration is just letting it be given, letting the song come, letting the lyrics, letting everything be given.
Yeah, I was thinking when Eric was singing about the disorientation, and you just said that we're here to have fun in the undoing. Like, yeah, Eric was kind of a good example of that this last week, because just with the control coming up, like he said, maybe around music or lyrics, but it didn't matter. He had these like powerful songs. Like, I don't know if you feel what I feel when he's singing that. Like, it's not really about the words or his voice, but he doesn't usually sing without a guitar. And so he was learning, I mean, not this one, he kind of had one there a little bit, but he's a prop, yeah. He's got like 4 songs this week where he's not even using a guitar to put his hand somewhere. So it's like very expansive, and you feel that, like when one mind is expanding, we all feel that. And that's what Strawberry Festival was for us. How are we all going to expand along the way, not to give a performance? And that was fun. I don't know. Yeah, there he is. Like, wasn't that fun? Yeah. And we're all like, we can feel it. Because it was like, I had this awareness last week when I was walking, and because there were so many decisions to make coming up to this festival, and it started to get to the point where I was like, they're problems. And then all of a sudden I felt like Jesus was in my mind. He's like, remembering that line from the Course, that there are so many problems on so many levels, it would be impossible for you to solve them all. And then the only way was to drop it all and wait for divine guidance again. So it was like, let go, wait for, and then follow when divine guidance comes, but just keep. So for me, this coming up to this festival, all these collaborations has been really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in some ways it's like starting to feel like with this, in relationship to this world, you're just living in the unknown, living without expectations, living without future goals. At first, it's like that Lose Control song. It's very disorienting and uncomfortable for the ego to not have goals. Imagine somebody asking you, what do you have planned for the day? And you say, nothing. And it just seems out of place in this world to have that feeling of nothing. There's nothing that I have to do. There's nothing that I need to do. and living from the core of inspiration, just living an inspired life. To have it be that simple. I just want to live an inspired life, to be present, to be fully present. And Jesus tells us in the Course, in the text, that he says you are guilty in time, but innocent in eternity. And that gives us a context of why I am as God created me is so important. Because if I want to know that divine innocence that never changes, that is beyond violation, it's beyond any kind of error or sin, then it's just one big let go. It's a big merge to that feeling. I think even when I was looking at some movies and episodes to show for this weekend, that kept coming to me, is we need to just come back to remember the power of our mind and the power of thought. And that's really what I want our experience to be, through the music, through the movies, through the experiential, how to come and rest in that strength. And move away from this weakness idea that somehow there has to be some kind of definition of productivity in form to attach to some kind of crazy idea of worthiness that seems to be the big link of the ego. Did I do enough? Did I say enough? It's always this enough, and it's tied into the idea of more, where Jesus says, what is an idol? Do you think you know? An idol is for more of something. It does not matter more of what. It's this more, this push, that's tied in with survival. It's tied in with trying to maintain a false sense of worthiness. And then the admission, I've been wrong about that whole direction. I'm willing to turn in another direction from this seeking, from this pursuing, from this focus on externals, focus on outcomes. Yeah. So beautiful for us. It's like this scene for us here out in the high desert. It is like a painting. I know. Amanda said she woke up and she was just like, whoa. It's like my cave. That's what she first wrote to me this morning. I'm in my cave. The canyon walls are the cave walls, and it's a cave of stillness. It's a cave of sanctuary. It's a cave of beingness that we've always yearned for deep in our heart. And then when we feel the fulfillment of it, it's like our mind is, yes, rest. Bask in this, just rest in this. So I think we're just going to cheer each other on to that state of beingness and that state of I need do nothing. It's a sense of relaxation. And there's really, when you get to it, there's no sense of organization with it. When we don't, like it says in Lesson 35, don't activate the past, organize the present, or plan the future. That's a real let go into I am as God created me. That's the only direction you can go in and let go of activating the past, organizing the present, planning the future. And also seeing that those pursuits and those attempts and those activities of time really don't offer us anything that we truly want. That's where I think the let go. It's not about doing the right things or getting the circumstances to work out a beautiful way or in some way that the ego judges happy. It's more just being resigned and merged into that state of not knowing anything about the world. That's salvation. I do not know the thing I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going, how to look upon myself or the world. And, around here, there's so many animals, you can eye gaze with the animals. That's a favorite thing. particularly the cows. Just walk down in the canyon and eye gaze with the cows. It's like there's a state of just relaxation and presence there. Everything is perfect as it is. Nothing need change. Nothing need be different than it already is. How relaxing that is. How absolutely delightfully relaxing it is. Yeah. We're just so grateful. Grateful to join in this.
Yeah, and we have this whole festival. Like, it seems to take a lot of being done through to experience what David's saying. Like, but it's all just to see there's nothing we have to do. But we were joining on like this whole team here, you know. I mean, if you could have watched us coming up to this week, especially the last 3 days, like every moment was so precise. Even, you know, we're a community of no private thoughts and no people pleasing, where you can say, people always ask what that is. I just say no private thoughts. You have permission to say anything. It's all accepted. But then, as you know, we've been living together for so long, you can still say things, but sometimes even that's not the best use of time. And it's like, there's divine guidance coming through. Let's all just get on board. Let's all go through it. So our prayer meetings were coming more like, what do you feel? What do you feel? What do you feel? You hear? Okay, great. Let's move it. Don't look back. Boom, boom, boom. Because we just didn't have time for anything else. And it was really fun because I got to play the little bit of a role of a music producer on a couple of songs. And I have no background in music and tried singing, and that didn't go very well.
I chased you out.
I was telling them I did one Strawberry Fields Festival. I thought singing's got to be easy if you can just sing along with somebody. So I picked this song I really love, Josh Groban, Never Give Up, or Don't Give Up or something. So I had it all set up and the music, and I got up on stage full of arrogance, you know. Just like, and I'm like, wow, that doesn't sound at all like him. And I was like, oh, like all this shame and embarrassment came up, but I just looked at the tech team and pump him up, and I just lip sing the whole song. But we had so much fun. There was so much love coming at me. Like, don't worry, you didn't make a mistake. There's nothing. Josh can take it from here. But anyways, but I had fun just over the years practicing with feeling. What do I feel in the moment? And just with the 3 or 4 songs, you know, we have a little surprise for you tomorrow and everything, but just with all, like, Joe with the guitar, and he's used to acoustic normally, right? And bass, but then we were having him try these new things, and he's like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. Yeah. Everybody was expanding in their own little way, and it felt so fun to be a part of that. So.
Yeah, it feels like that's a big part of opening up, is to open up to what seems new and what seems given, even if you've never done it before, even if it just seems like there's a feeling of expansiveness with it. And I think that's one thing about the seeming spiritual journey is it's not predictable. You try to look at patterns and you can't find where it's pointing. You have to be so willing to, I say, like, fly by the seat of your pants, or just be out there just winging it. And that's experientially how things have felt for me, is just, there would be like little windows of opportunity with a little feeling of glee and joy, like step right into this, step right into it and right through it, but with no sense of having done anything like that before. It seems like that's just the way that it goes. It's just you step through it and you step through it, and you feel literally like it's like you're being carried, or like it's just happening through you, or that you're just beholding it without any sense of you personally having done anything Like Jesus saying, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. He was teaching us to behold the world in an egoless way. Just behold the entire thing, enjoy the wholeness, enjoy the picture, enjoy the painting, but don't think that there's a doer involved in any of it. And that's the ultimate release too, that we were saying with no mistakes. But it's that feeling that you can start to really feel that you never have done anything, right or wrong. If the world is a perceptual hallucination that Jesus assures us is not happening in reality, then it must be that to believe that there's anything happening at all is simply an interpretation, and that can't be the interpretation of the Holy Spirit, because once it's coming through a personal filter, there's a sense of false responsibility with it, or a sense of I did something. And Jesus is saying that as long as you believe in a self-concept or a personal perspective, that unconsciously you're just counting what you judge as the good from the bad, and you're hoping that the good will outweigh the bad in the end. All these stories about going to the Angel Gabriel and trying to get through the gate and presenting your list of goods, good things and bad things, hoping that the good list is at least one item longer than the bad, as if that's how you get in. But the assumption is that there is a good and bad. And the assumption is that there is a right and wrong way in the world. And really, he's teaching us that there's just two perspectives, right-minded, wrong-minded. And it just gets so clear to me that every lesson that I read in the book, everything I read in the text is pointing back to this right mind versus wrong mind. Even, I believe it's lesson 300, only an instant does this world endure. It's still pointing back to the ancient instant of hatred, the tiny mad idea instant. The unholy instant is the wrong mind, and then the holy instant is the right mind. It's like everything is boiling down to which perspective will I choose, which interpretation will I choose. Behind all the forms, the myriad of forms, there's a choice of perspective that's there, always available, always, always, always available. And to approach that with glee and joy. You know, if you look at it from only an instant does this world endure, you know, the right mind is a corrected world. And the more we focus on that interpretation, which is forgiveness, then the other just disappears in the end. We see that there is no other option. We're left with only I am as God created me, the very simple I amness that's always been there, saying, here I am, I'm you, you're me. Come here, stay with me, stay with the truth. And not getting caught up into the game of guilt, the game of right and wrong, the game of personal responsibility. It just seems to be a root that runs deep, but it's something we have to really see the impossibility of. That's also the impossibility of attack. You know, it's not like Jesus is saying that we ever will develop a defense mechanism that will be able to handle attack. We have to go all the way back to the Holy Spirit and to the experience of the impossibility of the attack. Because as soon as we allow that as a possibility, then the defensiveness comes in. And it can take many, many shapes and forms and sizes. It's insidious how many seeming different forms come in with that one belief. Lesson 23, I can escape the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. And in that lesson he says, you will be willing to let the idea of attack go once you see that the idea of attacking and being attacked are the same, that there is no difference. That is where the whole victim-victimizer mentality is eliminated, the abuse, the abuser. He's just saying an attack thought is something that is always of the ego, and all you have to do is truly, truly, truly see this attack thought, these attack thoughts do not serve my peace of mind. And that's where the release occurs. You see the valuelessness of that idea. And you don't try to hop on there and take a side or believe there's something to promote or defend. So, wow, it's beautiful to practice that every day. That's what we've experienced living in community. That's the opportunity always.
Yeah, to come into defenselessness. You know, the defenselessness is our strength, really. Because who I am, as God created me, there's nothing to defend. If I'm pure spirit, then there's literally nothing I've ever done that I could be guilty for. So I would have nothing to defend. And if I'm not taking personal responsibility for what I need to do, what I have done, what I haven't done, if I'm not taking personal responsibility, which is also where pride comes in, oh good, I did it, you know, or failure, oh no, I didn't do it, both. You know, it's like this trick in the mind. And it's personal responsibility and ownership, as if it's me and as if it's up to me. So what we're learning more and more is to see these thoughts, see the attack thoughts for what they are, as a state of mind, as an identity, and just be willing to let it go. Just be willing always to make no exceptions. To keep bringing it to the light. Bringing it to the light. Does it hold up against the truth? And it never will. No. I had a fun experience that I want to share of how, really this is a world of effects in a way. It's if the world, the ego's world that we perceive, and we know by the way that we feel when we're identified with the ego, perceiving, you know, this world of problems, of attack, of difficulty. It's all an effect. It's all an effect, including the person who's feeling guilty or feeling responsible. Like it's a world of effects, of the effect of the belief in separation. And that's why trying to fix the person won't work. Trying to fix the problems that the person seems to have won't work. They're the same. They're the same. This is all effect of the belief in separation. So we're coming back to cause. We're coming back to God is my cause. I am as God created me. And my prayer is, I want to live with God. I want to know life, which is being sourced by God. And that means I'm praying. I'm releasing everything else, and I want to be guided by the Spirit. I want the Spirit to tell me. I want the Spirit to show me. I want the Spirit to do it through me. And that's what Christ says. That's what we're told in the Course. Jesus says, how could it be difficult to do what Christ would have you do when it's Christ who does it? So the only difficulty is when I think I am in control. I'm the one. And then there's this fear and guilt of getting it wrong, even getting it right. There's a pressure of getting it right. So we want to come into this involuntary experience of I'm doing nothing. And that's what comes from this state of I need do nothing. This is our prayer. Help me remember I need do nothing. Help me return to this place within in which I can feel it truly as an experience. I need do nothing. And this is what God keeps calling us to. He's saying, come and rest. Rest in me. Come and rest. Let go of what you think you need. Let go of what you think you need to do. And rest in me. And when you take your rest in me, this is for the whole universe. You're letting it off the hook. You're letting yourself off the hook, and you're letting the whole universe off the hook. Come, rest in me. Remember who you are. And then from there, this divine guidance comes. And from there, we can be moved by spirit. Until the next moment when the doer comes up again and we forget. That we practice. We recognize it. I feel stressed. Oh, personal responsibility again. The prayer. Forgiveness. Remember this guidance from Jesus. He wants me to rest. He wants me to be with him. So I had this fun experience of playing a game of Scrabble once upon a time. And I played both hands of Scrabble. I dealt myself 2 hands. And so, does everyone know the game of Scrabble? No. It's not in Brazil. You may have... It's not a name. No, you may have a similar... It's a board game. And then each player, you choose some letters. And you have about 9 letters. And then 7 letters. Thanks. We've got a Scrabble player in the audience. And you have 7 letters each, and you keep them to yourself. And then you can come up with a word with your 7 letters. And if you've got a word, you can put them on the board. And then you can get some more letters to hold until you can make your next word. And then the next person has their turn. And when you take your turn, there's different things on the board. There's a star, which gives you triple points, because each of your letters is worth 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, up to 10 points. So the idea is that you make these words and you score points to earn more and more, and the one with the most points at the end of the game wins. So there's triple scores on there, and you put your word, and then the next person goes off your word, makes their word, and then the next person. And sometimes you land on a triple score. Sometimes you get a double letter score. And if you can get your Z, which is worth 10, on a double letter, you score high. You've got a 20 just to start with. So I was playing this game with both hands. I was one, and then I was the other. And I was watching. And it felt like this meditation, because of course there was no competition. It was just, me playing both hands. And I was observing, and I really could watch and feel that I was the observer, watching one win and one lose. And one hand is like every time would get these great letters and would land on the triple score and the double letter scores. And the other hand kept pulling these letters, and it was really hard there were no words, to make out of these letters. And it would never land on a triple score. It would never land on a double score. So it was just this fun experience of seeing, wow, the script really is written. This hand was always going to win, and this hand was always going to lose. And it was not personal. If there'd been one person taking personal responsibility for this hand and another person taking personal responsibility for the other, they might have thought they had something to do with winning and losing. But it just played out. The game just played out. Oh. So I thought that was a fun metaphor for really, if it's just going to play out, then what do I where do I want my mind to be throughout this playing out of the script of life? Oh. Do I want to be trying to win? Do I want to be putting really in a lot of effort for outcome and form? Or can I trust? Can I be there in a state of mind, in a state of prayer, just willing to play my part? And this is it. This is our state of mind that we choose in every moment. In every moment. Choose to look upon it. Look upon the script playing out. And it felt really peaceful. It just felt like a meditation. Not being invested, not being identified at all. Oh.
Yeah, I was thinking of that idea in the Course where Jesus says, the world will end in laughter. That's a phrase that's not so associated with Christianity. That's a phrase that's coming from the Christ. The world will end in laughter. Yeah. And he does mention the word joke in A Course in Miracles. Jesus actually uses the word joke. He says, it is a joke to think that time can come to circumvent eternity. It is a joke to think that time can come to circumvent eternity. So long before the Course, long before movies for me, was music that really reached my heart. I remember maybe when I was a teenager, listened to the radio and I heard a song from the Bee Gees. Everyone know the Bee Gees? There's the three Bee Gees and then there's Andy Gibb too. But Maurice was one I think he's passed away now. Barry's still going. But Maurice had a song, I started a joke that started the whole world crying, but I couldn't see that the joke was on me. Oh, I remember, wow, that's deep. That's how, that song is just so deep. Because we have to, if we're going to be part of that, the world will end in laughter. If we're going to be part of the laughter, this laughter has to be kind of an all-encompassing laughter. It has to be a laughter at the impossibility of error, at the impossibility of sin, at the impossibility of separation, at the impossibility of attack. As he says, there is no safety on a battleground. You have to go above the battleground. Or Einstein saying you have to go beyond the level of the problem to find the solution. You can't find the solution at the level of the problem. Because the ego and its belief in separation, is the level of problems. And it's like having a Rubik's Cube where you keep trying to solve the Rubik's Cube. You keep spinning, but you really are going nowhere because you can't see the joke for what it is in the movement of the Rubik's Cube, trying to get it to come out so all the colors are the same on all the sides. We have to come to see the impossibility of the problem. There's no way to win the game of judgment just to see the impossibility of it. That's the release of it, to see the impossibility. That it could never have been so. It's not like, like people say, how do I stop judging? And it's like if we think judgment is like a runaway, old-fashioned train going down a mountainside, how do you stop a runaway train? you don't stop a runaway train, you know. That's the point. But if you can begin to take your mind up to that place that's beyond the runaway train or all the runaway trains, then that's where the peace is, that's where the joy, that's where the laughter is. We're not gonna find it in time and space. So I think that's another thing about you were talking about this is the summer of fun. Yeah. This is like a Beach Boys kind of summer. Gotta keep those loving good vibrations happening with her. You know, we want to stay in the vibrations of joy, of love, of happiness, in the joy of the fun. Not that fun has an opposite. We want to come into a fun that doesn't really have an opposite, that you can't fall away from it, you can't sink down from it, you can't land somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah.
And fun is a childlike state of mind. You know, fun is being a child. And that's what Jesus says, salvation is a game that happy children play. That's a direct quote from our master psychologist. So we need to pay attention to that. Can we let ourselves really be like children? What might that mean? That would mean that you don't take everything so seriously. Yeah. That you're not identified with the player, even. You're not identified with the player. You're just allowing the play to happen. And this is our whole mission. It's like you can feel it when the musicians, you know, when the Spirit's pouring through them. It's like, and you see sometimes when, you know, when Emily sings, and it's just like, wow, that voice, it's you know, it's from beyond. When Eric was just so lit up and there's this power and it's like, wow, it's like he's tapping into something that's beyond. And sometimes when he plays his guitar so fast, you're like, wow, there's no way that he could be consciously paying attention to getting those fingers on those strings. You can't be consciously controlling where the fingers are going when you're playing at that speed. And this is it. It's about giving ourselves over. And when the band is all playing together and singing together, there's this harmony, there's this union, there's this, it's spirit, it's joining in one mind. And that's it. That's our goal. That's what Jesus wants for us, to join in one mind with spirit. And then it can look like you're joining in mind with someone else. And in this path, Jesus says, yeah, let's save some time here in this lifetime. If you're into the Course, then a holy relationship will be given you as a means for saving time. We don't want to waste time. We don't want to be miserable. We want to be happy. We want to get on with it. You know? We want to be in joy. We want to be guided by spirit and lifted up now. And he says, okay, a holy relationship will be given you as a means for saving time. And that means there are these opportunities with this purpose for relationship. Our purpose for relationship is being joined in mind. That's what holy relationship is to come to know that you're not a separate mind. You're not a separate self. You're of one mind. So every time we have a miracle and we experience this together, we feel the flow of the Spirit. We're saying yes together. I want to serve God with you. You know, I want to heal my mind just like you do. That's it. That's all it takes. We just lay aside separate interests. And that's it. That is our prayer. And our prayer is answered because there is one mind. It's already one mind. We're already joined in mind. It's already there. It's just in that moment, in that prayer, we're remembering that's what we want. And so whatever was blocking it There's a chance for it to dissipate and disappear. So yeah, hallelujah. Permission. Permission. So that's really what we want for you this weekend. Give yourself full permission to relax. To just relax. To know that everyone here is practicing non-judgment. Everyone here is letting go of their thoughts all the time. So there is nothing that you could say or do that would be judged by another and held on to. You can just let yourself feel how you feel and be how you are and follow your heart, tapping into the guidance of the Spirit. Because when we do that, we are tapping into innocence. We're not making decisions alone. We're tapping into the flow. We're tapping into this care, this love, this support that's going to always tell us where to be and show us where to be, have us feel joined and connected with our brothers. Sometimes it's being alone, taking quiet time, away from people. You're welcome to do that. And other times it's coming and being in the midst of everything and diving in and singing, dancing. Yeah, it's just really being so open to letting ourselves come back to, there's a memory that everyone has. And we want to come back in touch with this memory that's within, of this playfulness, this spark, this childlike freedom. We've all encountered it. It's within all of us. And so that's what this weekend is for, is to come in touch with it. Yeah. And how valuable that is. Such a gift, not just for yourself, but for everyone.
I woke up this morning with this thought that you've never done anything wrong. And then the word literally. Sometimes I hear that, you've never done anything wrong, when I'm feeling really guilty. But today was the word literally, and it had such an emphasis. It was like, oh, not like, I learned from that, or I even did something right, or it served. It was like, but it really struck me. And as soon as I heard that word Dale flashed through my mind, because we were actually hoping he would be able to make it. Dale, you might have to speak more about context, but he was in prison for 17, 18 years, and he was a boxer, and I think he hit someone so hard and they died, so he went to prison for murder or killing, whatever it is. And he just got out last week, and so we wanted to invite him to come and speak. So he went to his parole officer.
And a little context, perhaps, that he was in prison and he came in contact with the Course in Miracles, and then he came in contact with David's teachings, and so he's been in prison, like healing his mind and really, really deeply practicing to release himself from prison, to really see that prison is not a physical location. The prison was in his mind. It's a prison of guilt. And so he's been going through these transformational, mystical experiences and then becoming a teacher of God and more. And then Jeffrey has this prison ministry. He's one of our ministers. And so they've been pouring more and more resources into the prison where he is. And he's ended up teaching, supporting others. They have groups going on. It's actually quite a wonderful facility to be in. Not really in form, but in the facility in the mind is, they're really making the most of it, making good use of time. And so, he just got released.
Yeah.
That's the footnote on Dale.
So Dale flashed through my mind, like literally, it was very important that it was about all time and space. You never could have done anything wrong. And it shot me right up into this, and this joy just started pouring back into me. And it just felt so alive in Dale. And it was like this simultaneous thing, but it was Like Dale never did it. That's how Dale is completely innocent. He never killed somebody. It wasn't like he needs to forgive himself. It's all part of this script. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. There's that, and you know what? You cut your nail too thick or thin or whatever, and it's all the same. When we're back in that state of mind, like you said, it's a joke to think that time could circumvent eternity. That's the freedom, and that, I mean, like, that's what I gave my whole life for. I didn't join community for community's sake. I thought that was just an adventure. It was like, I just want that experience of pure innocence. And I just feel that's where we're going as a community. And with, you know, David, sometimes we look at him as like a prophet. He'll just say things and then, how does that make sense? But you just go with it. You know, you learn to trust and build these experiences, and oh wow, like we're going digital. You know, it takes us 6 months to train. We're into it fully 100% digital. Then COVID hits. Oh, that makes sense. You know, but the trust, even though it doesn't make sense to the intellectual mind sometimes, the trust makes sense, and you learn to get into that vibe more and more and more. And I really feel like we're going to this space. This is why this is probably our last physical event, except for a mystery school down there, is because we all want to keep giving ourselves permission to go into this state of mind that nothing is important except divine innocence. And it seems like there's a point where, does the form really support it or not? And so we're just giving ourselves permission to see what's next from Jesus. But
yeah, miracles are involuntary. Jesus says, and they should not be under conscious control. So there's that conscious control idea again, and then miracles are involuntary. We're into being spontaneous. We're into spontaneity. What about time? We're into simultaneity. You know, it takes it, sometimes people call it like organic or grassroots, is some words that they use in terms of the world. But it's like a real free flow, and there's not really an attempt to organize or overlay something onto it, just to fully go into that glee of the moment. Even when you think back to when you were a child and playing, and you were losing track of time, you were just in the joy and the glee of playing, and there wasn't anything else. What a beautiful symbol that is. And then it seems like as people seem to mature as adults and take on responsibilities and take on the weight of the world, that glee and that joy, that shimmering happiness. I mean, I was just out recently, I had a little meeting over at this house, and I went to the bathroom, and the cat, I hadn't seen the cat, meow, meow, like at the window, let me in, and came in, and the little tail was wiggling. Oh, the tail wiggles when she's really happy. Like, she was just so happy to be there. So we continued on with the meeting, and then she was scratching at the door, like, okay, that's enough for me. I've got better things to do than this. But it's coming back to that playfulness, that glee, that joy, that simplicity. And even when Kirsten, she was just down in New Zealand, but it was just going, visiting your dad, visiting your mom, and then kind of hippity hopping around. And then it was kind of like you were the Pied Piper. Then more people started to show up, and then a few more, and then a few more. And before you know it, it was a retreat. And I kind of beamed on the phone. But I remember there was one man that was there. I don't know if I'd ever met him before, but a lot of them have been listening and following along, know about everything that's going on with our community, our animals, the names, the nicknames. They know all that, but wasn't he just had bought some property, and he was just offering this property, saying, okay, here we go, we're going for spiritual awakening, and anybody wants to come and live with me on this property. It sounded very much like the 60s, like the days of the hippies, where, you know, or last year we had a movie about Laurel Canyon that was with all the mamas and the papas and the Beach Boys and all of the Crosby, Stills and Nash, all the music and all the collaborations that were going on, just this gleeful, happy, joyful collaboration. It was like play. They were all playing together. They would hear the latest Beatles album and get excited. Then the Beatles would hear the latest album from Laurel Canyon. They would get excited. It was like, it was stimulating in the sense that it was collaborative and it was joyful. And it takes the emphasis away from the form and away from the outcome of things. And since this world is a denial of eternity, then that's our inroad. That's kind of the vibe. That's what we're feeling now, as being even living more intuitively, more spontaneously, more involuntary. Just an invitation comes in just to have your mind so open and free and unscheduled and unorganized that when an invitation comes, you can happily go, wow, that sounds fun, yes, in an instant, without having to weigh, okay, well, I'm going to have to clear my schedule, I'll get back to you in 3 days, I've got to try to clear my schedule, you know. The ego has made up its world of time and organization and scheduling and busyness to keep the mind distracted from the simple joy of the moment, accepting invitations spontaneously, just going with what feels helpful and right in the moment, and not really having a plan for the future. You know, when someone asks, what's your business plan? I have none. I remember when I would go and have these lunches with Judy Scutch, who was the publisher of A Course in Miracles, and she would just tell me these amazing parables and stories. But some of you have heard of the Urantia book, and one day Judy was there, and the head of the Urantia Foundation had decided to make an appointment, and when Judy got together with the head of the Urantia Foundation, and they were coming because they knew Judy was leading the Foundation for Inner Peace, the publishers of the Course, they got together and she told me the first question was, you're growing so fast, you're expanding, A Course in Miracles has spread all over the world. We just have one question for you. What is your business plan? And Judy just laughed and laughed and laughed, and she said, I have none. And they said, well, you're like a major organization, you know, you've been existing for years and you don't have a business plan. And she said, no, we just pray and we ask the Holy Spirit. And the man who was the head of the Rancha Foundation, he was dumbfounded. He was like, you've got to be joking. You can't possibly, how can you exist? How can you even exist without a business plan? But that just shows that there is another way, and that way is very intuitive. And we have to rely on that inner wisdom and that inner voice, because that makes all the difference. That changes our experience of this world. By listening and following, by not trying to lead and plan and use our past learning to plan for the future, we make an opening for present trust to direct the way. And how glorious it is. That's why I think we are going to have fun. We continue to have fun. We continue to be clueless and carefree and cared for. Lila always, I did a talk at the monastery many years ago, clueless, carefree, and cared for, and she came from a business background, a corporate background, and she squealed with delight. Her face just lit up when I did the talk on clueless, carefree, and cared for. And she seemed to never forgot that. She was the first one in our community really to pass away. But she passed away with so much joy because she lit up. That was the end of corporate Lila. She just got inspired. I think she was one of our first, was it the first or one of our early strawberry festivals? She was the one, she was the first one. She was the one leading. Yeah.
I remember her telling the parable, you both were sitting on the back deck of the main house and then looking down onto the campground, which was not a campground, it was just the valley below. And I think you turned to Lila and said, that looks like an amphitheater down there. Can you see it? She said, yes, I can see it. And then that was when it all started to unfold, and that became that was where the strawberry festival was first held, was down in the campground. And then the whole thing unfolded with building a campground and having this huge festival. And yeah, she was over it, and she was in this state of mind. She was so committed to stay in this clueless, cared for, carefree state of mind. And can I take on organizing a festival where 120 people were coming with a whole team to manage, and prior to that, even overseeing building a campground where she'd never built a campground before with experienced builders? And can I stay in that state of mind? And she was so committed. She was so committed to staying in that. Even in the face of, some of the guys who were builders and race car drivers, and they were used to going at high speed, and she would say, hold up, the doer is coming in, we need to stop, we need to pray. They'd be like, oh my God, time, we have time limits. And she'd be like, time is in the hands of the miracle worker, we need to stay present. So yeah, it was a huge undoing of the self-concept, for everyone who was working with her. And those who could yield into it and really trust in the Spirit, and the Spirit through her, ended up in the same clueless, carefree, cared-for state of mind.
Yeah, in fact, that's how I would think I was in the kitchen, and there was a whole group there and everything, and I had a feeling of us doing some kind of a festival or something, and I remember saying, who among all of you was present at the gathering called Woodstock? And Lila's hand went up. She was the only one. And so I thought, there we go. That's what I need. Woodstock. But that shows you how intuitive it is. It wasn't about organizing or who has organizing abilities or capabilities. She'd been to Woodstock. She'd experienced Woodstock, which was a very kind of organic gathering that kind of exploded, and all these amazing singers came to sing there. I think most people would say who have looked at the phenomenon called Woodstock, they said it was completely out of control. There was absolutely no control to it. It grew and grew so fast, and everybody was unprepared. They just had some land, and the neighbors were like, what is happening? And it was out of control, losing control, like Eric's song today. That's what Woodstock was. But I think that's the message that's been coming through to us, is that the Holy Spirit only works with mind training, controlling the direction of your thinking, ego or spirit, but not controlling the world. He says you have no control over the world you made. And everybody remembers too the famous Pointer Sisters song, I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it. That's people resonate with that. I think it was this theme song from a movie, Summer Lovers or something. It came out years ago, but it was really that feeling of trusting and letting go, because to the ego, without control and without judgment, all would be chaos. But the Spirit assures us, without control and judgment, all is love. So that's the opposite interpretations. People will say, but what would this world be? How would society exist without prison systems and legal systems and rules and punishments and so on and so forth? But many great saints and mystics, all the way from Krishnamurti all the way across to Thomas Merton, have emphasized that society is insane. And if you try to adjust your identity to an insane thought system, you will feel insane yourself. They had the depth. Thomas Merton was so devoted, first as a Franciscan, then as a Trappist monk, and then just kept on going and going. And same with J. Krishnamurti, to the point of not trying to reconcile identity with society. That was a key. Because if you still are doing that, then it's as if society has a consciousness of its own, it has its own thoughts, its own rules, its own penalties, and then you end up having to try to play small. It's the whole philosophical debate between the individual and society. And Jesus is teaching us they're both illusions. They're just two illusions that seem to be battling it out over many centuries. Sometimes the individualism seems to freedom of mobility, freedom of the body, freedoms, civil liberties, more freedoms, libertarianism, freedom, and then other times it seems to be very oppressive, like a totalitarian. There's a lot of movies that are made of the world going more into a totalitarian condition and so forth. And Jesus is teaching us truth does not fight against illusions, nor do illusions fight against the truth. Illusions battle only with themselves. It's an illusion of a battle. And the only way you perceive a conflict is by believing in illusions to start from. And his solution is the truth is true and only the truth is true. He's pointing us towards divine love. He's saying, no, God created divinity and there's nothing that can violate God's will, God's law of divine love. And then we're full circle to, I am as God created me. You can accept what is real and true, or you can try to oppose it. But you will never know your own free will as God created you while you are opposing anything. Because God's will does not have opposition in it. It does not know of control. It doesn't know of the battle. It doesn't recognize a battle. And I do feel like, even with A Course in Miracles, it's a beautiful book and a beautiful text, but where the Course is really pointing is what has been come to known on this planet as mysticism, the mystics and the saints. And that is letting go. And in the end, letting go of society, it's letting go of individuality. It's letting go of the I know mind that thinks it knows something about anything. That's what clueless, carefree and cared for is all about. You can see it in the animals, if you look at a chipmunk's eyes or a cow's eyes or the cat's, you can see it and feel the reflection of that lightness, that playfulness, that innocence. The cats in our community, they still, Iso, how old is Iso? 11 years old and so playful, he's more meditative than he ever was, but if you bring a string or a ball, it's still there. The little kid, the little Iso child, he was adopted. He came to us as a kitten and he still has that little inner kitten alive. And that's the symbol of that spontaneity and that joy. It's not covered over by the things of this world, the things of time.
No, but there's 3 baby chipmunks right by the gathering room, but they're so fresh and pure. Unity, our cat, comes really close, and they don't know what a cat is. So they come out, they walk right up to her. One little, it's just like, wow, with no conditioning. It's really
and neither does Unity. She's in the same state of mind.
Yeah, we had, for a long stretch of years here, we had a blind chipmunk, and that was nicknamed Stevie. After Stevie Wonder, we say, "Oh, there's Stevie." And there was a friend of ours who was here who was really close to Stevie, Christian Het, and Stevie was blind, but he knew the sound of Christian's voice. So we would be talking, and then Christian would come out and just start speaking, and then across the driveway of the parking area, here would come this little blind chipmunk, hearing the sound of his voice and being drawn to it. And then he would come and he would just be like moving his head around, like, do you have something for me? You have some nuts? Or, yeah, like he was ready to beg, get on his hind legs, you know. But talk about clueless. That was just beautiful. How trusting. Living out in a high desert, in a canyon, and no eyesight, and yet he was trusting his ears were working well. His association with Christian's voice. Christian. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is about learning of divine providence, which Stevie was a beautiful demonstration of. She's a little blind chipmunk who was so provided for, so totally provided for. And she actually got bigger and bigger, so we said at some point to Christian, I think you need to kind of tone down the amount of almonds that you're feeding her. But it turned out she disappeared for a while, and then she came back and she had a litter of baby chipmunks. And there she was, couldn't see, but she was just like quite a firm mother, actually, like giving them dust baths and looking after them. She had no concept of being limited, obviously. But that's really our journey, is to discover, to find out, through being clueless, that I am provided for by God. But we can't find out and truly, truly learn that we're provided for by God if we're busy providing for ourselves all the time. We need to make room for that, which can seem like a leap of faith to take, to trust, to trust in something unseen, that this is going to show up and truly, truly take care. But our lives are just living demonstrations of this principle. It's a principle. It's like the law of love is a principle. It's solid. Love created love. Love extends love. And divine providence is a principle. It's care, divine care. And we have so many experiences of that. At one point I was dropping into these deep meditative experiences. And it's called samadhi, I think, in India, where they would just drop into deep meditation and just lose track of the body, lose track of time. And that was starting to happen to me. And when it first happened, I would have some fear come up. Like, whoa, what if I need to move? And I would notice that thought, like, but do I want to move, I would ask? Do I want to go anywhere? And I feel, no, of course not. I want to rest deeply. And I remember one time had just made a cup of tea. So I was sitting with this cup of tea in my hands, and then I dropped into this deep meditative state. And I could still watch my mind and see some thoughts, but it was as if the puppet, Kirsten the puppet, the body, was no longer on the ego's strings. Like the doer, the personal doer, personal responsibility being washed and washed and washed, to where the doer, Kirsten, couldn't even make herself do something like move the tea, because I was in such a surrendered state of mind. So I sat there in prayer, and I was just feeling so much love and contentment, and I just had to trust. And there was a meeting going on, and then David was sitting beside me in this meeting, and he was talking, and then the next thing I could feel, he reached over, took the cup of tea, and put it on the table. And the meeting continued. And I just kept experiencing that more and more. I was going on a road trip, and I was in an airport, and I was traveling with a companion, and we were in this cafe in the airport, and then we were going to go to the gate and then catch our next flight, an overnight flight, to go to Puerto Rico. And I started dropping into this deep experience in the cafe, in the airport. And Ricky said, just looked at me and went, uh-oh, not here. It's okay at the monastery, it's like you're surrounded by mystics and you don't have to do anything. But she's like, how am I going to get her to the gate and onto a plane? She's like, so she said, you just stay here and I'll go and check on our flight. It's okay. So she went and checked on the flight. Everything was on time, and I just stayed, and she came back. I said, oh, this is the most comfortable place in the world. I'm just so happy here. I wouldn't really want to leave. And so she was a little concerned. And then the next thing, this announcement came over the speaker saying our flight to Puerto Rico had been cancelled, and would all the passengers please go to the desk. So she said, you stay here. She went to the desk. We were given hotel vouchers and meal vouchers and told we could just stay nearby, stay in a hotel for the night, and we could catch a flight the next morning off to Puerto Rico. And that was just another fun example of like, wow, you just trust. Like we want to experience that Spirit's doing everything through us. And Spirit will take care of everything. And that if I really let go of holding on to myself, keeping everything in control, making sure I'm safe, everything's good, that there's a backup, like a real true backup, that's going to arrange everything for me. And that's what Jesus says in the Course, I will arrange time and space for the miracle worker. It's a promise. It's a promise that he wants us to take him up on. So so many experiences of this. This is just one tiny glimpse, but it just comes into eventually this living experience, where you can end up living in a state of mind that just trusts. And it's so grateful, like you're just in this state of gratitude. Thank you for everything, because you're really seeing more and more that it's God doing it. It's God bringing forth these beautiful companions, these witnesses on the journey. It's God bringing us together. It's the Spirit arranging it all because we've said, yes, I want to heal, I want to wake up. And the more we recognize that and we're thankful for it, he says, God cannot be far behind a grateful heart and a thankful mind. And gratitude, as we're told in the manual, gratitude rests on trust. Characteristics of a teacher of God, trust, and the others rest on trust. So when you're in gratitude, that's because you're trusting Spirit, that there is a Spirit, that Spirit can be in charge. This is really like our song of gratitude, our song of gratitude to Spirit.
Yeah, he gives us 10 characteristics of a teacher of God in the manual for teachers, but he says attributes such as love or innocence don't belong in this list of characteristics. They would be very inappropriate here. When Jesus is talking about love and innocence as inappropriate for the characteristics of a teacher of God, he's pointing to the transcendence. This Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. We could put the word innocence in there too. This Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of innocence, for that is beyond what can be taught. I amness is prior to time, and all those characteristics are are time characteristics, like little glimpses of the way that you may feel as you come into trust, into alignment. Those are just those characteristics along the way. And I think, we're here for communication, full communication, collaboration as well. Is that the majority? He says, this is a Course in Miracles. He doesn't call it a Course in Revelation. And revelation experiences are rare, but they're very, very powerful at really loosening from the belief in time and the world. But I would say our whole seeming ministry over these decades has been much more focused on praying together, on collaboration, and really clearing away any blocks to communication. That's been the focus. Like Kirsten was saying, there are a lot, if we really look at it over the years, there's been a lot of mystical experiences for a lot of people that have been part of the community. And I think of going with a group to Mexico City. A friend of ours, Melly, she hopped in a car and then her body just started to contort, almost like Alan Burstyn's body contorts in the movie Resurrection. And then they had to literally, it went on for hours. They had to kind of, when they got to the place, I think Vicky Leone's, where she was staying, they had to help lift her out of the car. We've had different people that have lost the function of their body, many different energy experiences in different parts of the body or through the entire body. And there's times when that's what they call, maybe in Christianity, is being drunk on the Lord. It doesn't involve any alcohol or any drugs. It's just a mystical state of going into direct communion, and then the body doesn't seem to function. And what Jesus is teaching us is that when you go deep enough into forgiveness, you see that the body has never functioned. You believed you knew what it was and how it should function. When you go back far enough into the mind toward the light, you see the functionlessness of form and the allness of the light, the allness of spirit. And the mystics and saints write about that, but typically the more mystical the experience goes, the more it just does not fit into the world. There was a Polish nun, Sister Faustina, and some of you probably have seen it. She would paint these paintings of Jesus with all these lights coming out from his heart and everything, and she was doing okay in the convent there in Poland until she started to be asked by the superiors, what is going on? What are you painting? And I'm painting. And she said, I talked to Jesus. That was still in bounds. And he talks back to me, out. You're out of the convent. That was the linchpin. And he talks back to me, out. You are out of the convent. But you see, even for Jesus at the time, you can feel like he would be going off and communing, even with the apostles going off to the mount to commune. And even though there were the Essenes in the desert at the time and lots of different spiritual groups and communities, it's like it just shows us again that the deeper you go inward, it just doesn't fit into a projected world. The world is a projection of the ego. And the struggle comes in to try to straddle the line between the inner light and the projected world. As I was sharing earlier, Thomas Merton and Krishnamurti, lots of mystics and saints were very clear that they were not going to attempt to adapt and adjust to a construct. That's a projection. But you can see that's, for many people, that seems to be their struggle, is they want a sense of freedom. How do you have freedom in a world of rules and regulations? Good luck, you know. It has to come from turning within. And in practical terms, that's just being very intuitive, just following your inner guidance, following the inner light, following those little inner nudges and prompts, one step after the next, after the next. Just being so willing to listen and follow that you don't have any other parameters that you're laying on yourself or laying on your mind. Just to pray and listen and follow, and let the intuitive way take you and unfold. And then be delightfully surprised at how light and easy and joyful it is, that there's no sacrifice involved. You don't have to give up anything of reality to go with this approach. And so, in the end, I think that's what he says, prayer is the medium of miracles, that I feel like you develop a very deep prayer life. And that's what it's always been about, just being connected. I will step back and let him lead the way. It's very practical too, to just have a deep inner prayerful life, and then everything unfolds very easily and very naturally from that point of prayer, from the point of power in the mind. And there's not thousands and tens of thousands of questions to answer. The questions are dissolved in an experience, and then you can simply, as the Beatles say, let it be. You know, it's really speaking words of wisdom, let it be, just flowing with that. So let the spark of your heart burn, let it combust, let it really soar and take off. You know, that's our prayer. That's what we pray for every day. We're just into that merge, the merge with the Spirit. And then you're not on that field of right and wrong anymore. You're not second-guessing your moves. You're not second-guessing your decisions. No more second-guessing. How are we doing here? Well, we're getting up to the noon hour here. Yeah, we do have a roving mic in case anybody wants to. There's Nicholas has got it. In case anybody has a question or something to share. Yeah. Motown.
Okay. Hi. I was saying that since David mentioned Stevie Wonder, I'm from Detroit, and he had, so much of his music, very Gordian, Motown, and so I had come up to the monastery yesterday just to get the lay of the land. I like to make sure I have my ducks in order, which I know David says, you'll never get all your ducks in order. You said that, and that's so true, but that's how I am. Anyway, so I came up, and as I was leaving the monastery, I had the radio on, and this song broke in on a station that didn't seem to be playing this type of music, and it was Stevie Wonder. And I'm not sure the name of the song, but probably a lot of us who love Stevie have heard it, and it's I Will Love You Always. Da, 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 da. Anybody know that one? Always. And I was thinking, oh, thank you, Jesus. How beautiful. And I'm leaving the monastery and driving through this gorgeous location, canyon, and to have Stevie, something from home, and always that love.
I love that song. Yeah. Did you know that true love asks for nothing? It's such a joyful song. Yeah, amazing. You heard it out here, just for you.
Like this, like that. Okay. I really appreciate these in-person gatherings. The outside life, the farm is very busy, and it's a treat to be able to drop in. I do drop in on my own at home digitally. But I'm just going to say thank you for doing this. I know it takes a lot of work. And I hope we keep having these kind of meetups in person. They're highly valuable, more than you know.
Yeah, we've loved every moment. Yeah, we feel it. It's precious. Yes.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for putting this all together and being here. Thank you to the staff and the musicians and David and Kirsten and Jason. This has been a wonderful year. For me, so much growth. And, you know, you mentioned the prayers in the morning, and I've been diligent about the course prayer. I am here only to be truly helpful, and I say that, and my first words are thank you for everything. I have no complaints whatsoever, and also Holy Spirit, thank you for making all my decisions today, and decide for God for me, and then I say it all day long. It's the prayers are like a mantra throughout the day. And what's happening is what you mentioned. There's almost no thought without a quick asking for guidance. And the answers are coming so fast. And sometimes when I'll forget what I asked, and then I'll go back to it and I'll say, hey, you know, and then I'll get an answer. And, you know, there's very little I need to do anymore, and it's good because I keep saying I'm getting really ditzy, and it's okay. You know, everything is a joke. I retired from New York, a pretty stressful job 2 years ago, and moved to Kansas of all places, and immediately immersed myself in an animal shelter. And I walk only the big dogs, the big older dogs, and to see the love and no attitude from dogs like, where have you been? When's my turn? You know, they're my greatest teachers. And I just want to say thank you.
Okay, well, Anna will take us from here. We've got another song coming too.
Yes, we have another one or two more songs coming. One song. Wonderful. And then we'll end our session with a few announcements. Thank you.
Okay, Eric just needs a sec to tune his guitar. This song that we're going to do is called I Am, and it's a song that came to me about a year ago, I think. And it's just a really beautiful song to just sink into and just to remember who we truly are as God created us. So, yeah, just invite you to sink in and
Father, I know your will is mine. Yes, I realign my mind. Father, you restore my soul, and now every goal is you. Your strength, your love has no limit, has no limit for me. In quiet certainty, you remind me that I am your holy son. It's in my hands, it's in my breath, it's in every word you spoke. I am your son in every way possible. When shadows fall, your light breaks through. In every step, your love renews. In every tear, your love remains. When hope seems lost, I find my faith. Your strength, your love, there's no limit. There's no limit for me. In quiet certainty, you remind me that I am your holy son. I am so close to God. It's in my hands, it's in my breath, it's in every word you spoke. I am your son in every way possible. You are my breath, you are my life, you are my soul, you are my fire. You fill my heart with holy wine. You gave eternal life. I am your holy son. I am so close to God. It's in my hands, it's in my breath, it's in every word you spoke. I am your son in every way possible.
Yeah, so beautiful. Yeah, wow, my heart is just filled with love, and I hope you can feel the same presence that I feel. And thank you so much for the music. The band Rise, they're just a group of mystics who have just given their hearts over. Some of them, have just received from the Spirit these beautiful musical gifts, and they didn't even know they had them. So it's very inspiring. Thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you so much, David, Jason, Kirsten, for your beautiful words. And I'll give some announcements to you guys. So feel free to.